the top after having stained with the potassium dichromate. Now we're waiting for it to dry. You can see a couple of lighter spots there in the middle where it started to dry. So there we have it. I've applied the potassium dichromate to the whole table, and it started to dry, or pretty much dry at this point, but it is real ugly. So that has to be rubbed out. I'm using the 4/0 white Scotch pads for rubbing it out, which work pretty good on the drawer front, so that's what's next. So I got to wait for it to completely dry. So there you have it. It's been stained and rubbed out, and so now we're ready to spray shellac, which we'll probably do in the morning. Well, I've got a couple of coats of shellac sprayed onto the rubbed out potassium dichromate, and I like the color real well. So this is the table base, and then over here we have the top. So it looks pretty rich. Of course, I've got to get a couple more coats. This has to be sanded out, put a couple more coats on, and then ready to rub in the wax. Well, at this point we've got 4 coats of shellac on the top and the case. So I'm going to put 2 more coats on it to take it up to 6. I've sanded it off, and with some gray synthetic steel with the gray pads, Scotch pads, which is a little coarser than the white, and so that removed all the dust nubs and so forth. So I'm going to add some more shellac to it now. So there are 6 coats of shellac sprayed onto the top at this point, and now I'm sanding it back to with 400 sandpaper dry, and getting prepared to apply the wax, which is the next step. Well, I've sanded off the top now and rubbed it out with some Scotch pad there on the edges, and so we're ready for waxing. So at this point I'm rubbing out the wax coat on the top, and over here on I've started to steel wool the front of the carcass at this point, and then we'll apply wax to it once it's rubbed out. It's been I think about 3 days since I sprayed it last, so that should be long enough on shellac prior to rubbing it out. The drawers are over here. They've been glued and assembled, and they've been rubbed out. So we're getting down to the point where we'll be waxing it all. Well, we're in the home stretch here. The top is rubbed out, and the frame and drawers are rubbed out, and I got to mount the hardware next. So I didn't care too much for the color of the hardware that I got, so I decided to polish it with brass polish, and it's come up to a nice, here's what it looked like originally, and this is what it looks like now, so it's much better. So now I'm mounting the hardware, and I've already bent the bales, but one of the bales is round and the other one is oblong, and it's preventing it from resting nicely on the bottom. So now I have to file this one part of the bale to make it round. Well, I think it's finished. The hardware's on, and I've waxed it, and it's rubbed out, and it's come out pretty well. I'll have to get some good photographs of it, but this will have to do for the moment. We're still in the workshop, and few different angles here. So on to another project.